A lot of people have ideas of what compliance is or what compliance should be rather than what it actually is. There's this misconception that compliance is, maybe I'll just say, use the term legal, right? People feel you could just get a lawyer and that covers your basis. And most times that typically causes a lot of problems as you scale.
Hey, welcome to the FinTech Frontlines by Kora. This podcast is a collection of timeless ideas on how to build, launch, and operate a fintech in Africa from the most experienced minds in African fintech. In this episode, Sydney, lead compliance at Kora, talks about some of the pitfalls startups fall into. Then he explains common misconceptions about compliance, the mistakes early startups make, and how they can be costly for your business.
Something that is very common, that is pitfall for fintechs at the early stage, is, I'll say, knowledge gap. A lot of people have ideas of what compliance is or what compliance should be rather than what it actually is. There's this misconception that compliance is, maybe I'll just say, use the term legal, right? People feel you could just get a lawyer and that covers your basis, and most times that typically typically causes a lot of problems as you scale, right? So another thing I would say is the misconception, like I earlier mentioned, that compliance is the cost center, and I don't think I want to do this at this time, and I'll just move on. And then we've seen several fintechs who start out early. By the time they get to the middle stage, making some noise, the regulators ruling, and the fines are ruling in, they are telling them to restrict this, and then they are forced to go back, and that whole process affects them greatly. For late stage startups, I think a pitfall that a lot of them will fall into is not building properly. So at an early stage, you might I'm expecting maybe 10, maybe 100 merchants per year, just very small, and you build a compliance infrastructure system that would accommodate just a very small client base. And by the time you get to the late stage, if you build a compliance program, AML program, or a compliance program, you realize that it's much harder to reconfigure than to actually start. So I think in a snapshot, those are like the common pitfalls I've seen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the FinTech Frontlines. For businesses that are bullish on Africa, Kora provides all the support you need to start and scale with delightful payment products for collections, payouts, and settlements. Learn more at korahq.com.